So we are here at the Transylvania Crypto Conference, which turned out to be quite a Bitcoin conference. And I'm speaking with Adam, also known as Nopara73, who is the lead developer of Wasabi Wallet. So hello, how would you like it here?
It's really interesting. I'm from Hungary, and Romania is next to Hungary, and I never been in a place that's next to Hungary. And many people speak Hungarian here. It's strange to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just made your presentation about Wasabi Wallet and how you came up with the idea and how you can improve it. And it was very technical, and I was hoping that I can get a more down-to-earth layman language description of what you're planning to do with Wasabi.
Yes, I was hoping that too, and it seems like it was a total failure then if even you did not understand everything. I thought it will be a down-to-earth layman explanation.
But really, you came up with Wasabi in a time when there was no BIP 157 to make it happen. And I guess you got the idea for the first time when you saw that Bitcoin Talk forum post by Greg Maxwell, who said that he will award, was it 50 Bitcoins to whoever is able to implement CoinJoin in Bitcoin?
No, it had nothing to do with that. First, I wanted to work on Join Market. And I got into the privacy rabbit hole, and then I was working on Tumblebit, which is also a mixing technique. But then I realized, with CoinJoin we can do the same what we do with Tumblebit, but faster and cheaper. So I moved to CoinJoin, and I was still not aware that that reward for the CoinJoin. In fact, the very first people who worked with me was Matthew Highwood, who is now at Blockstream.
Oh, I know Matty.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we rolled out our first version of Wasabi Wallet, which we called Hidden Wallet, but it wasn't stable enough. So I started rewriting it from the beginning, and Matthew went to work for Blockstream. But Matthew told me that, hey, there is actually a reward for what we are doing. And that's awesome. And about 3 or 4 months ago, the CoinJoin rewards have been given out to Join Market and Wasabi Wallet, 10 Bitcoin and 20 Bitcoin has been put for future work. So that's not paid out. Yeah.
So let's say that somebody discovers Bitcoin today and buys their first amount of Bitcoin, and why should they consider to use Wasabi?
It's a good question. So my strategy is, if you follow my strategy, then you don't, because I gave up my privacy in many places, and I only concentrate on one thing. That's how I can be effective. So I concentrate on financial privacy. I don't give up my financial privacy, and I can move forward faster. If you follow this strategy that you want to get shit down, then you wouldn't use Wasabi, because Wasabi is only focused on privacy. There is maybe only one argument that goes for Wasabi, what's not privacy, is that it has a coin control feature, which if you are using it, then you learn a lot about how Bitcoin actually works, because Wasabi hides a bit less than other wallets do.
Yeah, the UTXOs become much more evident. And also, is there any reason for a user to use Wasabi even if they do not do CoinJoins?
Yes, privacy. CoinJoin is just one part of the privacy thing. You have to make sure on the network level to be private, Now, this means two things. One is how you broadcast your transactions. You want to do it in a private way. Um, there are ways other wallets are doing it okay in other okay ways, like Summarize pushes it over Tor, block Bitcoin Core is listening to all the transactions, and so it's harder to identify and forwarding those transactions. So it's harder to identify which transactions are originating from you. So there are ways to do it. The other big thing, which is even larger, is to how do you avoid, you have a bunch of addresses in your wallet, how do you avoid them being linked together by a third party? And there is only one sure way before Wasabi, is that you run a Bitcoin Core full node, because you can calculate your address balances from your hard drive, because you have all the transactions on your hard drive. But light wallets has to ask someone, and that's only way to keep that information private is by using Wasabi. If you are using if you want to use a light wallet. So because Wasabi is doing some client-side filtering where the server creates some filters, gives it out to all the light wallets, the same filters, and the light wallets can get the blocks what they need from different nodes. So that's where the network level privacy comes from in Wasabi.
Yeah, so just to do a bit of clarification, light wallets are pretty much all the mobile wallets you find in the App Store. I don't think there is one. Are there any which are not light in any way? I think Blockstream can connect to your full node, and there are some others.
I don't think it can. I'm using it and I did not find the option. But also, isn't Green Wallet a multi-sig wallet where Blockstream actually signing the transactions too, so you get more security for it, and they have your export key because of that. Even if you be using a full node. I'm asking.
Actually, I have no idea, because as far as I know, the full node implementation for Blockstream Green is only available on Android. I have an iPhone. So I was not able to test it firsthand. I run my own full node, but I stopped using any mobile application. I just use one for Lightning, and that's it. But the point of this discussion was that Wasabi grants you the kind of privacy that you do not get with the regular wallets, which you just download with your phone.
Yes, exactly.
From Coinbase, which is totally custodial. I think even the wallet is connected to your balance on the exchange. I'm not sure if you can use the wallet without having an account on the exchange.
You know, the funny thing is Coinbase actually gives you a perfect blockchain level privacy, because it's basically Coinbase is a large Bitcoin mixer. Many people send the money to them, and then other money comes out. So it's a Bitcoin mixer by definition. Now, they are spying on you, and they are not hiding this from you. So you expose your privacy to Coinbase, but you actually get some privacy. But it's custodial, so it's not really your money, and they are freezing accounts like PayPal. So yeah, you have to know your trade-offs.
Something that I like about Wasabi is the implementation of onion routing. And it means basically that you can use Tor to not have your transactions associated with your IP address.
Yes, exactly. You have to use Tor, and you don't have to know that you are using Tor, because it's coming with Wasabi and does everything over Tor by default.
So is it hard to implement Tor in any Bitcoin wallet? Because I see that it's not a popular feature.
Yes and no. It depends on your language. So let's take iPhone. For our iPhones, it's very, very hard. I heard some gossips that Blockstream's Green Wallet figured it out how to do that, but no one. So it's not a known thing how to do Tor on iPhones. On Android, doable. On desktop, it's doable, but so Tor has a own process, own executable, and that's what you have to communicate with. And if the language you are working with doesn't have a library for Tor, then you are fucked. That's you're not gonna get Tor onto your mobile wallet. And I was in the same situation because .NET Core did not have a library for that, and I have to write my own Tor library and my own HTTP protocol implementation because there wasn't a way around it. So yeah, it's kind of hard. Python users are easy because that's where the reference Tor library is. Probably there are good libraries in Java too. Yeah. So it's not always obvious how to do that.
But as you said, you have made some breakthroughs yourself with Wasabi, and it's open source. So can other wallet developers just take the code on which you worked and use it to implement some features on their product?
I guess so. It's not obvious how to copy code from one language to another, but yeah, it could be a reference implementation. Yeah.
Okay. So what is planned next for Wasabi Wallet? Because a lot of people with whom I have spoken speculate that it will have some kind of lightning onboarding, or it can be integrated into Liquid.
Yeah. So Liquid is not planned for Wasabi. We want to stay on Bitcoin. Lightning is planned, but not today because there are protocol level changes like L2 and OP no input things. Those are not really figured it out yet. So I don't want to work on it now and then when things change, then just do the work twice. It's not effective. So waiting for stabilization. What is next? Personally, I've been stepping down as the CTO and the code maintainer of Wasabi so I can concentrate on coding. And there is one thing what I'm working on right now, which is to make the wallet snappier, faster, because it's a different Bitcoin wallet. Most Bitcoin wallets don't make that many transactions as with Wasabi because Wasabi is doing CoinJoins and that results in a lot of transactions. So we need to optimize it more in order to be faster because handling thousands or millions of keys, it turns out to be quite a computation intensive job. Make the wallet faster. And then I think I'm going to start working on Bitcoin Core integration. So you can imagine it in a way that you go to the settings, click a checkbox, and now you're using Bitcoin Core. It's kind of a hybrid. So you are using the light wallet until your Bitcoin Core is synchronized. So that would be awesome to work on. And after this, I call these the basics. After the basics are done, then we are moving on to privacy research because we can do much better CoinJoins. We can optimize it quite a lot.
Okay. I remember there was that accusation from a developer of Samurai who said that there was some kind of dust attack into Wasabi. Is that fixed now?
Dust? Yeah, the dust attack. That was probably Samurai.
Yeah.
No, so what happened there, it was like 4 months ago. Someone started to send very small amounts of money to CoinJoin the outputs indiscriminately. And back then what we did is we said, okay, if someone has under $0.1 UTXO, then the UTXO just doesn't show up because all that could be used for I don't know what. So it's just not significant thing. So that UTXO doesn't show up in the wallet because it's so small. Maybe it's more expensive to spend at UTXO than not. So yeah, the Duster did not do much, except it had some media attention, but it wasn't a big deal.
Okay, so it did not de-anonymize
No,
the CoinJoins that happened.
no, I mean, so if you CoinJoin and I send you money to the CoinJoined output to the CoinJoined address, then I don't know if I send you the money or someone else. It doesn't expose information, you know.
Another question that I have for you comes from a practical advice that I read, that after you CoinJoin and you spend any amount of coins, for example on retail, to buy something on bid refill or something, you should CoinJoin once again to protect your privacy.
No, you shouldn't. Why you shouldn't? You can, but you shouldn't. Because you don't want to mix pre-CoinJoined coins with CoinJoined coins. Because think it's true. I send you some money, you CoinJoin it, and you spend it, and there is some money that wasn't CoinJoined, and if you combine the CoinJoin money with the non-CoinJoin money, then you de-anonymize the path. Now this doesn't happen that often, so it's not. So that's why you can do that, because usually you would put the change that you got from the money what was in a CoinJoin. If you understood, you would put that together with another CoinJoin money, which you can think about that it doesn't have a history. So, but I think it can be done. It can be done that after you spend the money, after you spend the CoinJoin money, then it has a very clear label on it, and you can see what you are comfortable joining that money together with.
I remember the last time we spoke, you told me that you believe that getting to confidential transactions in Bitcoin is just a matter of when, because at some point privacy is going to be so important that everybody is going to demand it. And do you still believe that confidential transactions are important, even though there is this risk of having inflation that cannot be detected?
I still believe it's important, but I gained a new insight. That's one way that the future turns out, that we have confidential transactions. But if you think about it, blockchains don't scale, and Lightning Network is growing. Maybe every transaction in the network will be either a Lightning opening or a Lightning closing transaction. And in that scenario, we don't even need confidential transactions. Or in between, so before this happens, I don't know if in our lifetimes that everything will be a Lightning opening and closing, but before this happens, what we could do is we could CoinJoin into the Lightning network. So I'm explaining you a seamless user experience. You open a wallet, you get some money, and you don't even know that, but your wallet starts to CoinJoin into the Lightning network right away. And that's where you have your balance. And you can spend, of course, the money on the Lightning network, or you can choose to spend that money on-chain. And there is an interesting idea thing what Alex Borsch is working on called Hyperloop, which enables you to spend Lightning money on chain. So that would be seamless, in a private way, and that would be a seamless user interaction, and maybe we don't need confidential transactions. Although I would be much more comfortable if we would have a bit.
Also, sometimes I hear people say that we had the block size debate in 2016, 2017, and the next big debate and divide within the Bitcoin community is going to be about privacy. Do you think it's going to be just as divisive with people who want to hard fork to have confidential transactions and others who will just say, let's leave it like this and focus on second layers?
If something sparks this debate, this will be much more divisive. And I want to see the people coming out and say that, hey, I don't want privacy, I don't want Bitcoin to have privacy. Come out and say that in public, right? It's, I don't know. I think it would have even more, it would see even more blood if this debate would happen. I don't know if it would happen. Something must spark it. Maybe something like, blockchain analysis, chain analysis company gets a data leak and everyone will know how much money you have or I have, or not me because I'm using myself, but how much money like Roger or Adam Beck or that, there is just one single leak that will spark the privacy wars. Yeah.
Let's hope that doesn't happen, though it's very likely.
I hope it happens sooner than later.
Why?
Because it's easier to change the protocol now than later.
Oh, that's malevolent. But yeah, we don't know anything really. We can't predict the future. It's unfortunate that the community divided in 2017, even though some would say that we're better off without the big blockers, that we can focus on Lightning and Liquid and making transactions smaller in small blocks, which is also something interesting as a concept. But I have moved on from the topic of our conversation.
Yeah, I forgot my opinion on this topic for a long time too.
Yeah. So thank you very much. This was really good.
Yeah, thank you.
It's going to get posted on Bitcoin Magazine. And I have to thank Mad Bitcoins for borrowing me the tripod to be able to do this interview. So thanks.
Thank you.